what are the trends. And next, we have scheduled blackouts. So our blackout application, will have a scheduled blackout that is published on the web, on radio station, in the newspaper. And lastly, this provides real-time information for the user. So everything here is not done off nothing. We consider the user profiles, we research, and then we follow what are the specific needs, and this is the supply to their demand. Now I'm going to talk about, we have decided to look at these functionalities, and from then on, we want to further narrow it down. And so here we have the different types of filters. So when our user, the thing is, in Kenya and in the world, people want things like this. Real-time. We want real-time information, we want efficiency, urgency. And so we have different types of filters to better maximize this and make efficient this process. And these filters range from macro to micro. That when you go on this application, it narrows it down from number one, the location, and then further to the date and the time. This is a visual representation of when you go on the app, it will tell you the location, and you can choose what location in Nairobi, in Kenya, you want it to be, and what days you have, and what dates you want, and the timeline. And so this is good because the purpose of this is to make it very specific to the user. It personalizes this process, and if you personalize something, it makes the user, you remember the trends and the settings, and it makes it more efficient for the user. So lastly, we talked about something that the previous group did talk about, the different platforms and the collection of data, how we're going to make it practical. The platforms that we want to aggregate this on is number one, on the web, number two, mobile, and this is classified into smartphones and non-smartphones. Next, we want to do the collection of data, how we're going to collect and aggregate this data, who's going to give us. And this can be done through email, through Twitter, and through text-based services like SMS or USSD. And so that concludes my presentation.
So I have a question about accuracy. It's a general Ushahidi question, I know. But imagine this becomes ubiquitous, everybody uses it. It's going to affect real estate prices.
A moderator that is constant 24 hours, looking at these different data. If we see only one or maybe like 10, we know that it's not going to be true. So if a lot of people post about it, then the accuracy is higher. So a way to combat that, I haven't finished.
On the web when there's no power.
A way to combat that
You
is
don't
that
use the computer.
There are 10 people who post about this, you can say the accuracy is 10%. But if there are more people who post about it, you can say the accuracy of this can be like 94%. So then the users will decide based on that, like the percentage, whether it's accurate or not.
Any other questions? Questions? You good? Good. Good job. Shuffle buddy. You're good too. Last minute tricks.
There's an interesting story. I found the whole issues of Jiggers very interesting because I grew up in a place where women had beautiful feet. And I assumed that all women have beautiful feet until I came to the city. And then found that there are some people whose toes can't fit inside shoes. This is serious. So, we were looking at the correlation between education and Jiggers. So, we have a brand called Jigger-ED. It works on all different levels. Jigger education. Correlation between Jiggers and education. But the plan was to show the correlation between Jigger prevalence and education. Because it's assumed the places that have higher education have less Jiggers. And yet when I came to the city, so Judy, please ask ask the questions.
Yes. So when we're going to be presenting this, we're going to have. So we're going to talk about how we're going to collect the data and how we're going to present the data. So when we collect the data, we have trusted data sources. Those are going to be teachers from schools, health workers, and the general public. So like he mentioned, since we normally assume that people who have jiggers have got less education, many people who have jiggers are actually afraid of saying that they have jiggers because of the stigma associated with jiggers, because people think that they're not educated. So we want to work with teachers and health workers to give us this information, and the audience for this information is going to be NGOs, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, World Bank, UN, you name it, as in what patterns that can come out from this. So the main questions we're going to ask is the main economic activity. As we're discussing, it came up that the areas where there's jiggers, most of the people rear chickens. So now you can't go and ask them, do you rear chickens? So we'll ask them, what's your main economic activity? Then they could say animal husbandry, farming, and stuff like that. But we know what we're looking for, which is chicken rearing. And then they're also going to do locations. Jigger. We are also going to do locations. And when we talk about location, we talk about schools. So then we ask, like, what's the nearest school to them, or they could say their location. What we have children's schools is because all primary schools in Kenya are already mapped. So that information is easy to get. And then we're going to ask them, does the area around you, or how many incidences of jiggers are around that school, so that we can get the number of people who have jiggers. Why we are asking this question is because jiggers is a contact disease. As in, I got jiggers from somebody. And since it's a stigma, probably. No, I don't have jiggers. I'm putting myself in a use case. For example, I have jiggers. I probably got jiggers when I went to visit Marie. But what we're talking about, this is the stigma that we're trying to fight. So anyways, maybe Marie she doesn't feel confident enough to say that she has jiggers. So when I go to the health worker, or I'm reporting on this system, they'll ask me how many incidences of jiggers do I know about. So I'll be like, okay, maybe Marie, and maybe Street John, and so that's what I'm going to report. And then, and how we're going to collect this data is through SMS forms, the mobile app, and the web platform. So SMS forms don't exist on the Ushahidi platform, but maybe after this, we'll think about having it.
You got like 20 seconds left.
20.
What I'm about to present is how I'm going to present the output, the data that we correct to the people that are after information. And as I said, the people who are after information are the NGOs, Ministry of Health, UN, and bank. These are serious guys. So the information that you're going to display to them will be simplified yet comprehensive. Okay, so on the website, on the subdomain of the Ushahidi.com, we have our homepage, we have information about us, we have the map, stats and reports. We prefer to have the menus to the left because they're easy to navigate, and from whichever page, whichever part of the site you're in here, you can always go back to the home, the about, whichever part you want. Now we have the map over here, and then you have about 4 layers. She mentioned you're going to get information about education, and schools are already mapped. So when you tick the education checkbox, the information of the schools will appear on the map. You can choose to have the circles. You can choose to have different color codes. When you check on the infection rate, we can have different, according to the data that we've collected, it will be mapped together with the education if you check those two. Weather. It's assumed that jiggers come up during certain seasons, but you're not sure. You're going to get that from the respondents. So,
Sorry, I have to cut you off because everybody has time. Time, yeah. So we're going to ask questions. Anybody have questions?
No questions.
Sugar's not guilty.
Other than the posters.